فلما رأوه زلفة سيئت وجوه الذين كفروا وقيل هذا الذي كنتم به تدعون قل أرأيتم إن أهلكني الله ومن معي أو رحمنا فمن يجير الكافرين من عذاب أليم قل هو الرحمن آمنا به وعليه توكلنا فستعلمون من هو في ضلال مبين قل أرأيتم إن أصبح ماؤكم غورا فمن يأتيكم بماء معين.
From the mischiefs of our souls and from the evil of our deeds, whomsoever Allah guides, there is none who can lead him astray. And whom Allah finds in error, there is none to guide him. And I bear witness that there is no ilah but Allah, and that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is his last and final servant. All you who believe, fear Allah as he should be feared, and die not except in the state of Islam. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome. Today we will be demonstrating to you the proper Sunnah way of washing and shrouding our deceased members. In our demonstration, we will also include information on how to wash and shroud men as well as women. Men similar to the women. Please pay close attention and you will be able to do this. And we started doing this years ago. I've been washing and shrouding myself, Rashida Ali, since 1982. And by Allah's help with Sister Hanifa and I, we realized at a point that sometime, one day, Allah will call us back and we need someone to do our bodies as well. So we began to do these workshops so that we could bring those who are willing to come in and step forward and do this work to prepare our bodies for us as well, inshallah.
My name is Hanifa Abdul Hakim. I've been washing bodies since 1984. I've washed hundreds and hundreds of bodies religiously, and by Allah's mercy, one day someone will wash my body. So we have to pass the torch. We have to teach. Usually it used to be taboo where people didn't want to wash bodies. Now we have to. It's far too far. It's on the community. Somebody has to do it. Inshallah.
In our demonstration today, we are going to also include all of our ayats from the Quran and the Sunnah in our preparations for our books that we utilize. The main ones are from Sahih, from Sahih Muslim, Sahih Bukhari, the Noble Quran, and the books of Muhammad Jalbali, who did extensive work in the information on sickness, final bequests, and funeral regulations and exhortations, as well as life in our barzakh, which this whole series relates to how, once starting from when we're ill to the point where we die, and covers all of those areas, which is important to us as Muslims to know what to do when a person is sick and ailing. In our agenda today, we want to also include the general information that needs to be given out is notifying the family when a person is near death, when they're calling, and what to do with the person before they die. When they're sick and they look like they're approaching death, we want to encourage them to say their shahadatain. We don't want any worldly things around the person. We want them to reflect on Allah alone and to make sure that they're focusing on Allah and just saying their shahadatain, and keep that in their mind and their thoughts. No TVs in front of them and no worldly talks, just remembering of Allah before they pass. Once the person has passed and the person's family, if they're not there, they're notified by the hospital or the nursing home or wherever they were at the time of their decease. We need to know what the person has died from. We need to know how much the person weighed. And the family, we need to let them know what type of materials are needed. Most times today, though, if they're coming to a funeral parlor as such that we work with, we have all of the supplies available for them. Some people have offered or asked me for burial kits, but they want to keep their own kits at home, so we do supply them if you need for them. Yes.
Mind you that the responsibility of the supplies belongs to the family.
Right. It's better for whoever's in charge to get the items that's necessary so that they know exactly what is necessary for the burial. There are some diseases that will require wider sheets or wider cloths, and those include kidney disease, heart disease, liver, high blood pressure, or gunshot wound to the stomach. These cause the body to swell, so the person may be bigger at that time because of those particular methods that they had died from. Before we go into the funeral parlor, we ask some questions too. Is there hot and cold running water with a hose? Is the body there yet? If not, what time can we come in to do the washing? And where is the funeral home located? Because it depends on where the family chose to have the body prepared at. There are other cases where a person could have died from cancer, which could cause a body odor, and the body deteriorates quicker. So we want to know if the body was placed in a cold place, and sometimes not so. It depends, because as Muslims we bury within 3 days if possible. And sometimes the person may be washed and shrouded the very same day that they made their transition to Allah. We have to be careful for open wounds, especially if there was any operations or procedures done. So we try to position the body so that the water doesn't run in those areas. So let's see. I have to look at notes sometimes. What's incumbent? Again, we asked before we mentioned about the person dying. As our committee has for years, and I'll mention M.E.D.I.N.A because it has come through our M.E.D.I.N.A committee. Over the years, we work with different funeral parlors. We want to know if there were any recent surgeries or any tubings or anything that were still in place when the body was removed from the hospital. We do ask them that at the funeral parlor. Was the person on life support, or was there any autopsies done? Or was the person murdered? Sometimes, if that was the case, the body might have been autopsied because the authorities have come and taken control and they want to find the cause of death. Sometimes we're able to get an email or someone to step in and stop them from doing the autopsies, or they may do a minor autopsy, which is just basically pulling fluids from the body. We want to know if the person, again, how much they weighed, how tall the person was, and did they take the Shahada? Because we only wash and shroud Muslims. This is our duty, their last washing and shrouding. Also, yes, honey.
I just want to add on, if for some chance the person is not able to do a normal washing because of the injury, sometimes you get hit by a car, or sometimes you get a shot in the head, you have some type of real bad injury where we're not able to wash the body, what we would do is a fart, which is a one complete washing, as opposed to the normal 3. So that's important depending on how the person died.
Of course, you will see us dressed here in what is called OSHA regulations. OSHA is Occupational Safety and Health Administration requirements for entering the washroom. Normally, we have shoe coverings, head coverings, surgical masks, aprons, and gloves. Other supplies for washing and the shrouding is a basin for water, for pouring water. We use Muslims, we use what is called sidr or soap, which the sidr is actually lotus or lotus leaf or oil, which Prophet Muhammad had offered for us to wash with, and camphor blocks, or they come in an oil form as well, which we can use. Sponges or cloth, washcloths, paper towels for drying. For the women, we need a comb. Of course, we need scissors as well, because the body may have tags, because they could have the feet or the hands tied with tags.
Or clothes on.
Or clothing, which will have to be removed, gowns or clothing. We normally have, for the women, we like to have nail polish remover, because some women do wear it, and we cannot wash the body with nail polish, even though that's been disputed, but Allah knows best. There was no thing as a nail polish at that time. We use the plastic sheeting to cover the body, the aura, to keep the body aura covered at all times while we're washing, to not look on the body. OSHA regulations, again, requires the mask, gloves, and apron, like I said here. Okay, so what we're going to do,
I want to add on one more thing, and that is, if a person by chance have dreads, we do not untwine the dreads. They are the same as the way they are. We can't untwine dreads. FYI,
no, we will wash the hair the way it is with the dreads and put them into the braids, as we're going to demonstrate now. We would like to begin demonstrating. Once we have the body, the first thing we do is, if the hair is braided, we will unbraid the hair, and then we would check the body for any any tubings or tapes or anything that's causing us to have to remove them. Some things we cannot remove because it could cause excessive bleeding or oozing, so we don't. Normally, when we go in, if we need help, we would ask to remove something from the body. If it's in the mouth, could be a feeding tube, or could be in the stomach, and sometimes we have to remove certain things that are on the body. Again, checking to make sure that there's no tampons or any padding on the women. We get the water first for the ghusl, which is the first part, which is the istinja, washing the private parts. And we put the sidr or soap into the warm water and begin washing the body with the left hand in the private part first. The women in the front, with the men also, we wash the front and the private parts. And again, once we go in, asking how much a person weighs determines on how many of us need to be in the room. Most often will be about 4 of us. The average is 4. If not, I personally have washed by myself. Persons, it depends, and or 2. Depends on, again, the weight of the person. Once that part of the body is washed, the person will be rolled to the back so she can wash the anal area to make sure that it's clean. You will wash any odd number of times, 1, 3, or 5, 7 if necessary. If the cloth is dirty, you want to not put it back in the water. You want to get a clean cloth. Sometimes if it looks like it's not going to wash properly too much with the cloth, we will take the hose and hose down the anal area of the body so that we can make sure that it's clean. Okay? Once that is done, we are ready to put clean water, clear water, to do the wudu. Our wudu is done the same as for us. Starting on the right side, right hand, and she could be pouring the water. And I can wash the right hand 3 times, making sure I get into the between the fingers 3 times. Right hand, left,
Three times.
Next, as we do all the mouth, which we don't want to get too much water in the mouth, we just go over the mouth 3 times. The nose, in the nose 3 times. If there is any oozing, sometimes there's medication or something that could be coming from the nose or even the mouth. We try to clean it and temporarily, so we don't damage the sheets, we will get cotton balls just until we have finished washing. They do not stay in place. The nose is done. The arms to the elbow. Right side again 3 times. Letting the water go through the fingers. Right side and the left side.
Two. Make sure you're gentle. When you wash the body, you have to be gentle.
Yes, we treat our deceased as if they feel everything along those steps. Now is the face, all the way to the ears, 3 times, right? Then we have to go over the head, water from the front, for the nape of the neck, and back to the front, right? And that's 1 time. Around the ears, both ears, inside and around with the thumb. Then we'll complete the wudu. Next, we would like to wash her hair. So we would take this warm water. Now we're going to put the soap in the warm water. We do the feet last. You want to do the feet now?
No.
According to those that, according to Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, if you look at his wudu, his ghusl, he stepped away after he did his wudu, and his ghusl. Then he did his feet after he did his full ghusl. So that's how we do when we go. I mean, it's not wrong if you want to do the feet, but that's how Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did his ghusl. So with the water and the soap, we'll put the soap, wash it, and then wash the hair away. We prefer not to have this in the neck because it prevents us from even maneuvering. Get behind it.
So once the wash is finished, You put the braid, 3 braids in.
Rinse and wash.
After it's rinsed and washed. The last wash.
Yeah. And normally we use the comb if you have to separate the hair. Or unbraid it with this braid.
Tuck it under.
This is usually your girl. That's your braid. Anyway.
So normally we'll assign someone just to do the braiding,
Yes.
especially if they're new and they want to do it. We'll give them that
The
assignment.
braids are done. And now it's time for the full bristle, which means we want more soap and nice warm water. And cloths. Well, we asked everybody to do the washing. So we all take turns. If there's 4 of us, normally one will wash from the top to the middle and the other from the top, from the middle to the feet. So we take the water starting on the right side, washing face, neck, and the body under the sheet. Again, we are not exposed to the body. Washing arms. Gently down to the middle, under the sheet, all the way down. You need to dip for more water, and you dip. And wash it all the way down again to the ankles and around. Normally, if it's a person that weighs a lot or if there seems to be too much damage to the body, we do the 2 washings at the same time in the front. And then we do the last wash with the camera. Well, we did one on the right side. And she'll do the left side. One way.
Under it.
The same way. Under the sheet.
Keep her body covered.
You did too.
Keep on.
I did too. Again, you could do 1 washing at a time or 2, depending on the condition of the body. In the front. Now doing the second wash in the front. Okay. Now those 2 washes in the front. Now we have to turn the body. Wash the back. Get kind of slippery, so you have to do what you can. And it's good, again, like I said, to do the 2 washings so you don't have to maneuver the body too much. If you could do the 2 at one time, and then the final wash. Right to the ankle. Okay, so that's 2 washes on the back, and she's gonna do 2. On the back here.
Not doing that. Not doing that. Sometimes if they're in a nursing home, they have sores in their back.
Bed sores and.
A lot of bed sores. You gotta be really careful, or they might start oozing.
So you might have to either just pat it to get some water.
2 complete washings.
2 washings done. So now, that means she had both of her washings. And we have to do the final wash with the camphor, which we use now today. It's easier to use the oil, but the camphor has to be soaked in the water if it's in the block. So for her final wash with the camphor, the same over the whole body. Starting from the top, only one time. Gonna wash them under the sheet again. And be careful as possible not to expose any of the private parts. It's the same wash all the way down again. The ankle in the front. That's one washing. Right, now the left. All the way. Now, you gotta do the back. The same. Just gonna pull her to her. And we'll wash her one time again, all the way to the back. Now the neck. The arms. And only one washing again. Count for oil, or count for, whatever form it is, one time. That completes that wash on that side. Return her. She's going to do the left side back, the same, all the way down, one wash, in the can for. This completes her ghusl, except for the feet, we got to wash. Again, if you read the ghusl, the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu did his ghusl, he washed his entire body in ghusl and stepped out and then did his feet. So, the true ghusl. Okay, so we're going to do the feet. And she could really do feet like pouring the water normally over the feet and in between the toes. 1, 2, 3 times. And in between the toes. Feet. Okay. Okay, now this completes her final, very final bath that she was not able to do for herself. No longer. So now we're all prepared. We take paper towels and we each take towels and we dry the body and we wipe the table to dry it as well. Patting and drying to make sure it's nice and dry so that when you're ready to shroud, as much paper towels as you need to dry. It's always important on the table to keep the pathway clear so that the water can flow out into the drain. When it's drained, once it's drying. That's the front. So dry the back. Again, as many paper towels as necessary. Here we have to pat it too because it's going to hold water under her wiping the table. Which usually sometimes we'll have two hands, one wiping the table and one wiping the body, patting the body dry. All the way down. And the legs and the feet. Okay? So, line the table. Next side. Back. Line. A lot of times people want to know how long this takes. It all depends. It depends on the condition of the body. If there are no injuries to the body, no bleeding, no oozing, then it could take maybe 40 minutes or less, half an hour sometimes. Normally not an hour. It could, but barring any conditions other than oozing or anything. So now we're ready to put her in her shroud. And when we do that, we will have to change this and put a dry covering over her at the time. Okay, so preparing the sheets. As we begin to shroud, we lay in 3 white sheets, and we're going to fold them together. We have changed the plastic covering to a clean plastic covering after we dry the body. We're going to roll these to the middle and put them together from the head to the feet. And we begin by tucking them under, making sure there's enough for the top and for the feet. Okay. And for those who don't know, and if you read all the books that have been established, and even in the Hadith, it reads that the women's sheets are the same, the women's shroud is the same as the men. There's no excessiveness in shrouding the women. Okay. Okay, and we roll the body and make sure that we pull the sheets back out evenly under. We're ready to wrap her. Starting on that left side, we're going to pull the first sheet. We're going to roll each sheet over her one at a time. You have enough on that side. Once we get her covered, we can remove the dry covered body covering sheet that was on the body. Just one. Two. And the back is tight. Each sheet one at a time. Now, once we got the 3 sheets wrapped, neatly, we could put the ties. And if the family wants to view, normally we would put these under with the body as well, with the bottom sheet. Just the waist, and we tie it to the right side. Tie it to the right side of the bow.
So now, if the family's gonna come to view the body, I like to make a kimar, and that's done with
The undersheet, you have enough to go
the
with.
last undersheet.
Well, that's no, this one.
This one right here. I'm gonna make a kimar so that she can be viewed in her a white kimar.
This is the finish edge, you don't have to tuck it. This is finish edge. You're not gonna have enough, right? You got it?
And the family can view her Muslima. Reviewing.
Okay. You wanna make it tighter?
Yeah.
after now, basically, this completes her janaza preparation for her burial. Again, once the family comes, they want to view her, they're allowed to come see her, kiss her on the forehead. Some of them, they want to make a dua over her, and that's it.
And once they're finished
Viewing, you're going to close her back up. Tie. She's ready to go in the coffin. If she's going to be buried outside of the coffin, these ties will stay in place until she's put into the ground, and then they are taken loose. Okay? So we want to put her in her coffin. So we're going to bring it close. There are no pillows or any blankets or anything inside the coffin. We don't do that. Okay. Ready? Normally, again, even though we showed you her on the table, the wash table, normally we would have put her in the coffin first and then show the family her in the coffin and with her kima in her hand. Okay, so that concludes our demonstration today of the washing and shrouding for the burial of our dear Muslim sister. And the men are similar in their washing and their shrouding, except the hair. If a man has locks on his hair, I don't think they don't braid it. And the men, they don't use any turbans or anything, for my understanding and reading. And the same, they cover their aura from the men's aura, the private parts from the waist to below the knees. And the women's, the aura is from the breast to below the knee. That's it.
Can I add on one thing? Just FYI, the wife of the husband, the wife can wash her husband's body. Normally sisters wash sisters, but if you're married, you can wash your husband's body. It's permissible.
And you can wash any believer child from newborn infant to puberty for the women, up until puberty for a child. And that's men or women. You can watch a child up to puberty.
One more add-on. As long as the baby has breath of life, has breathed, if the baby has not breath and they're still born, they don't get a washing. But if they have breath, they live even for 5 minutes, they're entitled to a wash.
Mm-hmm. On this side, again, we didn't talk about conditions where we could not put water on the body. Sometimes the body will come with a communicable disease or very damaged, and they come in a plastic bag that comes in from the hospital or the morgue. And if the condition is extremely bad, we just push the water over the bag, splash the water over the bag, throw some camphor on the bag. If we can, in the past we would do what is called tayammum with the dust. We would take the dust just over the hands and the face, and that was it. That's all you can do. There were incidences, unfortunately, that has happened because of the body being so damaged. But Allah knows best, that we do the best we can. Inshallah. Anything that we said today, inshallah, in regard to this, is our own fault and our errors, and may Allah forgive us. But again, we ask that you take this and use it and do the best you can for your Muslim brothers and sisters and step forward. So we need each other to learn what we need to do for ourselves. We do not use clothing. We use plain white sheets or striped sheets. Some people have donated sheets or garments that or not really garments, but sheets or cloths that they wanted to bury their family in, and that's okay for you to put a winding sheet over them as well. We also like to sprinkle the camphor into the coffin, or some families like a special oil they put on it also, and we just sprinkle it onto the coffin. They say that some people like to also use the incense to smoke the sheets before we put the sheets on the body too. That's it.
Amen.
So, glorified are you, O my Allah, and I am in your praise. I testify that there is no Allah except you, and I ask forgiveness and repent unto you. Ameen.
Ameen.
Ameen.